Okay, so let's talk about January 30th, 2026. Because wow, the world is really holding its breath right now. We've got an American armada steaming towards Iran, Washington is teetering on the brink of a shutdown, and we're also saying goodbye to a true cultural icon. So we're going to break down what's happening and, more importantly, why it all matters. Let's get right into it.
I'm sending an armada, a very powerful armada. Yeah, those are the actual words from President Trump that have put pretty much the entire world on high alert. And let's be clear, this isn't just tough talk. We're talking about a massive military mobilization in the Persian Gulf. Now, the White House says it's about making a deal, but you have to ask yourself, with this much firepower in motion, the risk of a miscalculation, of a real conflict, is incredibly high.
You know, that tension in the Gulf, it isn't happening in a vacuum. Not at all. It's really just one piece of this giant global puzzle where nations are clashing and, in some surprising ways, collaborating. Let's take a quick look at how these diplomatic divides are playing out all across the map.
And this slide really shows you a tale of two completely different approaches. On one hand, you've got the US flexing its military muscle toward Iran. But then, look at the UK. They're heading in the total opposite direction with China. Prime Minister Keir Starmer is actually in Beijing talking trade deals. It's the first visit of its kind in 8 years. It's this fascinating split in strategy among Western allies. One is all about pressure, the other is pursuing partnership.
And believe me, these tensions are flaring up just about everywhere you look. The EU is tightening the screws on Iran, officially labeling its Revolutionary Guard a terrorist group. In the Middle East, it's this incredibly complex dance. You have a slight opening at the Gaza border, but at the same time, a complete diplomatic meltdown between South Africa and Israel. Then, further west, new U.S. tariffs are pushing Cuba towards what Mexico is calling a humanitarian crisis. And yet, even in the middle of all this friction, there's this surprising little note of productive talks over Ukraine. It's just a reminder that on this global chessboard, every single move is connected.
All right, let's pivot now. Let's bring our focus from the world stage back home to the U.S. Because, these same forces of division and disruption, well, they're not just happening between nations. They are absolutely unfolding right now inside the United States. And one of the biggest sources of that disruption is economic. President Trump has nominated Kevin Warsh to be the next chair of the Federal Reserve. And frankly, Wall Street is pretty nervous. See, Warsh is a well-known inflation hawk. As the slide explains, that means his number one priority is crushing inflation, even if it means jacking up interest rates and maybe slowing down the whole economy for everyone. It is a huge gamble for millions of Americans' jobs and, of course, their savings. Then there's this number, 3 million. That is how many pages of documents the Department of Justice just dropped from its Jeffrey Epstein investigation. The sheer volume is it's staggering. And it's already ignited a total firestorm of controversy over who's named, what's being hidden behind all the blacked-out redactions, and just shockingly, the inclusion of victims' names in the release.
And as if all that wasn't enough, the government is literally stumbling towards a partial shutdown. This slide shows exactly how this political gridlock is working, or maybe not working. The Senate, they actually passed a funding bill, but the House? The House went home without approving the money for the Department of Homeland Security. So the result is a shutdown, triggered not by some big, dramatic fight, but by simple inaction. They just weren't there.
And that tension you're seeing in Washington, it's not staying there. It's boiling over into the streets. We are seeing protests all over the country about so-called ICE sieges, which even led to the arrest of high-profile people like Don Lemon. At the very same time, FBI raids on election offices are kicking off this fierce national debate. Is this federal overreach, or is it necessary election security? You got two very different events, but they're both fueled by the same fundamental questions. Who holds the power, and who can you actually trust?
Okay, for our last section, let's take a deep breath. Let's step away from all the political fire for a minute and turn to the stories that are shaping our culture, from the future of tech to the thrill of sports and a very sad farewell. Over in the world of AI, the race is officially on. We're talking about the race to go public. OpenAI just announced it's planning a massive IPO for later this year, which puts it head-to-head with its biggest rival, Anthropic. And the prize here isn't just about billions of dollars from Wall Street. It's about which of these companies is going to lead the next technological revolution. It's a huge deal. And from the tech world, let's jump over to the tennis world, because all eyes are on Melbourne this weekend, the Australian Open Final. It's the dream matchup, the one everybody wanted to see. The legend, Novak Djokovic, chasing yet another piece of history, is facing off against the electrifying young phenom, Carlos Alcaraz. It's the classic battle, experience versus youth. The court is absolutely set for an epic showdown.
And finally, we have to end today on a really sad note. The world of comedy has lost a true original. The brilliant Catherine O'Hara has passed away at 71. I mean, whether she was the unforgettable Moira Rose in Schitt's Creek or the panicked mom in Home Alone, she just had this rare, incredible gift for making us laugh until we cried. She was truly one of a kind, and she is going to be deeply missed.
So there you have it, a day of military posturing, of political division, incredible technological ambition, and real human loss. It really leaves us with a big question to chew on, right? In a world that is moving this fast, with so much on the line, which of these threads, which one of these stories from today, will be the one that actually weaves the fabric of our future? Something to think about. Thanks for joining us.